Hi everyone, Teresa Aker from Success Diaries with Teresa Aker. It's my pleasure today to bring you JP Marsh. Now, JP is a co-parenting relationship expert. How you doing, JP?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. We're glad to have you here. Now, I thought this was an important topic because I had asked you just before the show, we talked about people who are together parenting or people
Hmm.
who are separate parenting.
Right.
So we could take it either way, but I would think, as you said, most people think you're getting divorced, you're co-parenting, and you yourself have had experience with that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I just want to read your bio here, just as we go along, because a lot of people have a lot of questions, and I think the way you have it worded is perfect. So JP Marsh has been in a healthy co-parenting relationship for over 5 years. As a loving unit, my partner, myself, and my ex's blended family participate in holidays, school functions, and sports activities together. How
Hmm.
wonderful. I have a divorce background, so my children absolutely had step parents in both sides. So
Hmm.
it is not an easy feat.
Right.
And let's start there, JP. How can you help us?
Well, I mean, our situation is my daughter's in a blended family. They're not technically married, but the stepdad, the stepbrother, all that stuff. I'm single. And so we're kind of in all different realms because obviously I date and when I'm dating or getting a serious relationship, stuff like that, then obviously those have to be dealt with in a collaborative way. We have certain, um, we'd made a deal early on when her mother and I had split up and started doing the co-parenting thing. We'd made a deal that if I started dating somebody or if she started dating somebody and it was getting to a serious enough point where they were going to be around our daughter, we got to meet them first.
Yeah.
And so I never had to, with that, we never had to deal with the blow ups of my daughter goes home and says, "Oh, dad's new girlfriend moved in." And nobody even knows I'm dating anybody. And now there's just some random woman around my daughter. And, it took a lot of stress off of me, being the dad to a daughter and having new adult males and, you know, teenage boys or, whatever age groups may be introduced into my daughter's realm. I mean, obviously it'd be a little bit different if it was a son compared to a daughter. I mean, not totally different, but and so the deal that we had set up like that made a lot of sense, and it seemed to alleviated a lot of these hangups and issues that tend to be big pitfalls for the co-parenting deal because you start introducing new people and new relationships, and then it becomes, navigating to where you're not competing with the other person that's, I'm not in competition with the stepdad because he's not the dad, and I don't need to be in competition with him, and I don't need to dislike him when he had nothing to do with the dissolve of my relationship with my daughter's mother or anything like that. And so some of these things are easier if you make them easier on yourself.
I think you've hit on something I want to come back to. When you're bringing in other people's relationships, they a lot of times they have families of their own too.
Mhm.
So now you're blending not only your families in the adult world, but there's a whole new world for the young people that are involved. They're now
Right.
part of and expected perhaps to accept the new people.
Hmm.
And so now it does make for a different dynamic. And I did read here, and I think it's interesting. Your families come together for holidays and sports events and things like that. So the entire group goes together for them, or just like when you're with your children and vice versa? How does that work?
I, I mean, it depends on the situation, Obviously, my daughter being, fourth grade, her Christmas concert deal through the school it's just me and her mom usually.
Sure.
I'll take middle of the day off, go down there. We'll go down and sit by each other and stuff, and that's not the big deal. And if grandparents are in town visiting, stuff like that, they'll usually go
Yeah.
as well. Um, Obviously, we're not pulling the other kids out of school, the stepdads and everybody else doesn't need to go. But, come 4th of July type holidays,
Sure.
lake days in the summertime, barbecues, that kind of stuff. It's like me, their family, plus his former wife, her husband, their
Oh, good.
baby, and then with other families that we all hang out with.
Yeah.
There's a 8 to 10 of us
Sure.
that are from Oregon that live in eastern Montana now, and are from the same town. And so whenever everybody gets together, everybody gets together. Um, but like the Super Bowl Sundays that,
Yeah.
like that's coming up, so it's everybody's just the same place and it's no big deal. And then, certain holidays and certain other things, it just kind of depends on whether or not they want to go or not.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not
Of course.
necessarily a deal where everybody has to go.
Yeah.
But the
So it's
birthdays and those
basically,
things are
yeah,
all pretty much
basically keeping
everybody.
the chaos away, right?
Right.
So
Right.
you're all together when you are, who's ever together, and there's no
Hmm.
animosity, there's none of that. You're all together and you just
Right.
get along and you just support each other, and that's the way it goes, right?
Right.
Now,
Right.
you mentioned before when we talked about this, before the relationship starts, and I think you had a good point just before we came on to the show here. You had said people don't necessarily communicate what their thoughts are of parenting and
Right.
co-parenting and how they feel about the situation before it even comes in. Let's touch base on that, because some people would think, well, I should be able to date whoever I wish, right?
Right. Right.
And then and perhaps that's true. I don't know, but there should be. I think you have a reasonable thought there. There should be communication between the parents of all the children
Mhm.
rather, and their families, because there will be someone probably who is upset, who needs
Right.
to be addressed, and who needs to understand that everyone is supportive. How would you address that, JP?
Well, I mean, as with anything else in life, the the better you can communicate, the more open you can be with communication, the more willing you are to express, wants, needs, boundaries, and expectations is the better way to go. Because obviously, if I don't communicate very well with my daughter's mother about what my expectations and my boundaries, as far as what her husband is bringing into my daughter's life as a role model or parent figure type, then I can't be upset if my boundaries are being crossed, because nobody's a mind reader. I can't expect somebody to just know that this is going to upset me or be a boundary or anything like that. And so until you can communicate these things, everybody's just living in a state of confusion because nobody knows who's supposed to do what and what's going on and what expectations and boundaries, and what is overstepping to this person may not be overstepping to these people, and vice versa.
Sure.
And it's not my job to, you know, only, it's kind of it's just the more out in the open you can be with all of these things, the better off you're going to be. Same as any relationship, when communication is going to be the best factor that you can have. Um, but outside of that, I got really lucky because my daughter's mother and all of us are from the same small town, same kind of background, same kind of values, morals, that kind of stuff. And so I've gotten lucky as far as, parenting styles, disciplinary styles, expectations. We're not battling over stupid things like what age is a cell phone, what age, this and that, but also we communicate well, so we're on the same page. So we don't get pitted against each other with my daughter, because what she can watch on TV is the same. Food's the same at both houses. Responsibilities are the same at both houses. Chores are the same at both houses. All of these things are same or similar enough to where it's like, well, I just want to stay at mom's all the time because she lets me on my tablet for 12 hours a day. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly.
Whereas dad's
Exactly.
got structure and rules and he only lets me be on it an hour a day. And like that's what communication does, because you're on the same page and you're not being pitted against each other.
Yes.
But also we communicate openly. And so my daughter knows that if mom knows, dad knows.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I'm in trouble at mom's, dad already knows. I'm
Mhm.
not getting one over on him, saying that I'm not grounded or I'm allowed to be on my tablet more or, whatever the case may be.
Exactly. I think that's a key point because children are extremely good at that, aren't they? They go back and forth between parents and they try to pull what they can get away from in each
Right.
parent. But if you have, both parents on the line and they know what's
Mhm.
going on, you're not getting away with anything. And I think that gives a child quite a bit of feeling safe because they know
Right.
all everybody involved is has their best interest at heart. And so, although everybody tries to get away with things when they're younger, if they
Right.
know that there's boundaries and they know everybody's on the same page, there's in time, there's not going to be any argument, really. They know,
Right.
right? And they're pretty perceptive. And there is something about a family that's warm and caring. Yeah,
Right.
even in a breakup, and we've heard of many families today that are able to bring it together. So JP, well done. That's
Thank you.
excellent. So what other advice would you have for families that are perhaps just going through it? Perhaps they're just breaking up. They still have to deal with relationships and children. What advice would you have for them?
The the biggest and best thing that you can do is to get over the relationship as fast as humanly possible. Because until you can, let go of the anger or hurt feelings or, the longing for that person or whatever the case may be, depending on what side of the breakup you're on, the easier and faster you're going to be able to accept where you are now and move forward in the new reality that you're a single parent co-parenting with another person, as opposed to, holding on to all of these negative emotions, negative feelings, and then it's, you have to treat it like something like somebody that died and grieve it and let it go, because that's exactly what happened. Because if you hold on to these feelings and these emotions, that's where you get the double standards and you get the hurt feelings and you get the explosive, emotional episodes, and you get all of these toxic things that keep just creeping in. And the more that they creep in, the more that they become habit. And then it just becomes a revolving door of I trigger you, you trigger me, I trigger you, you trigger me, because you can't get out of the pain of
Well,
the
that's a very good
relationship.
point. The pain that stays there and the pain that's there with the children too. They need
Right,
to know that things are okay and they're going to be all right and mom and dad are okay and we're going to get through this. And no matter what, everybody's just human. They make mistakes and
right,
you still have to carry on. And that's a very good point, JP. There's a point in any divorce. I've certainly been through divorce myself. No big secret. It was no fault of anyone's. It is what it
right,
is. It
right,
happens. So I do remember new families coming in, and I can remember that feeling of, oh, I have children, but they have children too, and how are they going to come together? And what about my kids? And you get these thoughts going. But I do know we were, we tried everything we could to bring our families together because, again, just like yourself, we tried to do the best for them. I still to this day don't know if it's right or wrong, but we did the
right,
best we could. And I think if
right,
you're trying, I think that's the big thing. Even if you still have underlining resentment or anger, as you call it, or frustration, I think you have to deal with that on its own and
right,
realize that the children need you. They need you to guide them through it, no matter what your feelings are. And there is
right,
professionals that can help too,
right.
right?
And I mean, and even if you look at it, disconnect from just the parenting standpoint, in any sort of a relationship, if you don't heal from a breakup or a divorce or heal from that relationship, then you're not bringing in healthy relationships. So then you're going to be cycling through a lot of people that are not necessarily the best fit for you, or the best partner for you, or maybe the best for your mental health, or any of these different things, because you're not healed. And so you're either trying to find somebody exact opposite of what you just got out of, because that's something new and exciting, or you're just going to start, you know what I mean? It's hard to be in a healthy relationship if you haven't healed from your past relationships or let them go.
And every relationship is different. I understand
Right.
that. I truly do understand that. And every person is different. And so as you walk through these situations, which is really unfortunate, but it is every day someone is going through it. So yeah, I think you're right on. If you're able to pull the family together and say, okay, let's put our feelings aside for this moment. We have to get together and have a meeting. We have to talk about where everybody's at, make sure everybody's in the best interest of the children and the family. Everybody can get through it together. And again, as you said, that you have to try. You just have to
Right.
try, right, JP?
Right. Well, I mean, the one of the things I tell most people is first you got to get out of your own way, because if you're always reacting instead of responding, you're just shooting yourself in the foot with every interaction that you go into.
Yeah.
And if you're all, you know what I mean? If you can't, if every time you think of the other parent or see the other parent or have to talk to the other parent, you're seeing through this red lens of anger or resentment or, hurt feelings, then that's the energy you're bringing into all of these conversations. And they're all going to turn out to be angry, resentful, mean, short. You know what I mean? You're not going to be able to communicate very effectively or positively, or, if everything's through that lens, even if they're saying something that makes, complete sense and would be very, really healthy or helpful or good for your kids, sort of like the political view kind of deal, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna be receptive to it because you said it,
That's right.
because it was your idea. And so, even knowing this is probably what's best for our children, I'm not going to listen to it because it's your idea. And that's a dangerous, dangerous mindset to have when you're talking about raising your children to be the best people that they can be.
It's because they do follow what their parents do and they feel what
Right.
their parents feel. So it is, a difficult situation. And I'm sure, and again, I'm certainly not a professional, but I've certainly been through it. So I have empathy for families that go through it. And
Right.
again, there is going to be challenging times. That's a given. That's going to
Mhm.
happen. And we all have to be understanding of each other's feelings, whether you're past it or not. I think you have to think of everyone, and that's a hard thing to crack, but there's
Right.
experts like yourself that can help them through it, right?
Right. Right. And I guess, one of the things that kind of comes up with a lot of the people that I work with or talk to or that ask me questions and that kind of stuff is like, well, I mean, it's getting an outside point of view, that somebody that has no chips in the game, right? They're
Oh,
not your friend group. They're not their friend group.
yeah,
It's not your parents. It's not their parents. Because everybody that's in your camp is going to reinforce whatever you want them to. And it's
point.
all them. They're toxic. They're doing it. And their camp is saying the same thing. So if you get somebody that's not, involved in this situation, that can come in and look at it objectively and be like, because I mean, 90% of the time when I'm talking to people, I'm like, you're the problem.
Yeah.
Like, you can't blame everything on everybody else because you're having these interactions with multiple people. You're the common denominator. Your family and friends don't want to hurt your feelings and tell you you're the problem, but you're the problem.
It it
Sometimes.
it's an interesting dynamic when people go through it. You're right. We're all looking at it from our own perspective, aren't we?
Right, right.
But JP, you've been wonderful today. Do you do courses for people? Do you do mediation? What do you do in your coaching?
Uh, Typically just one-on-one, you
One-on-one?
know.
Okay. Now, if they wanted to get a hold of you, What is the
Mhm.
best place? Now I'm going to have your bio and everything up, but what's the best place if people want to reach out to you? Where can they reach you?
Instagram.
Instagram?
Mhm.
Okay, I'll make sure that that's up there for you. And JP, that was great that you came out today to talk to us.
Mhm.
Would you come back and talk to us again?
Of course.
Perfect. Now, this was JP Marsh, and he's a co-parenting expert. He wants to be there to help you, so reach out to him. Do you have I wasn't sure, do you have a podcast or a show that you're doing?
I haven't launched mine yet.
Oh, okay. I thought I was sure. I wasn't sure if you were or not. When you do, certainly let us know because then we want to put it out there for you. And
Perfect.
absolutely. So we definitely want to hear from all of you. And JP, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. My name's Teresa Aker from Success Diaries with Teresa Aker. I hope you're all having a great day, and I look forward to talking to you all very soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.